Welcome back. This is Fantastic Teens and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
For more fun times and
shenanigans.
If this is your first time watching and joining us, thanks for hanging out, first of all. And welcome to the show. This is our sibling duo podcast / YouTube channel about life with chronic and invisible illnesses and conditions, including those that are mental and emotional.
Because I'm mental and she's emotional.
Indeed. Yes. Where can they find us?
Oh, God. You can find us most places now.
Yeah.
Anywhere you would listen to a podcast, we're there, except for Apple.
Yep.
Still working on that 3 years in. You can watch the action on YouTube, where we also do our live streams. Mm-hmm. And you can join us on our Discord, which there's a link up top and in the description.
Yes.
Where you can talk to us or talk to our community. Also join in on the lives and participate. It's fun.
Absolutely. It is fun. Today is a special day. It's a special day.
Yeah.
We're officially 3 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. We did it.
We need streamers to come down. Hooray! Yes, we're 3 years old. We did it, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, a whole year just flew by. So it was our podiversary on May 3rd.
Yesterday.
Yes.
We're
Yesterday
a day into being a
us.
toddler.
It's been a week for you.
Yeah.
Time travel. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah, but we're officially a toddler.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Watch us toddle. We can start saying no to everything. We can make a mess when we eat. We could be belligerent and no one can do anything.
And sleep regression for sure.
Yes.
I'm not going to sleep. There's too much to do and see and notice. And
yeah, but that means that someone can get us with the off button.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You know what used to work for me? Back rubs. If my mom touched my back for 5 seconds, that was enough to chill me out. Boop. Then I was done. Even if I wasn't sleepy, I would just be done. I calm my mind.
We're done.
And now I'm chill.
Nice. Back rubs.
Weird thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Segways are weird.
They are.
We're going to talk a little bit about the year in reflection, actually. That's not going to be the episode itself, but instead of our weekly recap, we decided that we were going to do our kind of yearly reflection instead.
Yeah. And then what are we talking about for real?
Today we are talking about how context matters and how context is absolutely everything, and we need it, and we need to be thinking about it as we move forward, and how to give it to people who don't necessarily want it.
Or understanding that you need it more than you thought.
Yeah.
That was a huge moment for me when I was starting to understand that it's how things are presented that indicate how I'm going to handle them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll get into it.
For sure.
But first,
it is time for the yearly recap.
Check-in.
Oh.
We're still podcasting. It's been another year.
It's been 3 years, guys. That's crazy.
All because of a whim.
I know.
A crazy, crazy whim.
So if you don't know how this started, it was literally, he just messaged me one day and was like, hey, we're going to podcast. You come over and podcast?
Literally, I said podcast on Saturday.
And I was like, cool, let's do it. And then my husband the next week was like, oh, you're still doing that? And I was like, yeah.
Even we were surprised,
doing
though.
That.
God, do you remember, though, how much fun it was in the beginning?
Yes.
Not that it's not fun now, but the toddler era where it's
I know, the feeling our way through everything and getting our legs under us. And
getting used to talking to a camera or hearing our voice.
Yes.
That was a big one for me.
That one was weird. And then watching yourself back.
Mm-hmm.
That was extra weird.
Well, and it doesn't help that the video we were watching was us being weird because we were in a new situation, right? So
yeah. Oh, it was very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go back.
Go back to season 0 is what we call it. The first 3 episodes were shot, I think, in one day.
Yeah, in one go. We just went because we were having such a blast.
Well,
when
we
got
had
into
so
it.
much to say.
Yes. Well, it was all of the unsaid things that you hold on to and that create this bitterness and anger and anxiety and frustration and all of that held in nonsense that we only got to say to each other. We suddenly got to say out loud.
Yeah.
To more than one person. It was very weird and free.
Well, it wasn't weird until Ruth commented. That was a reality check.
That was not weird. That was surreal.
Yeah.
That was a very strange moment because we got this message that was like, after 60 some odd years, I found my tribe. And we were like, oh shit.
Oh no. Accountability.
We're accountable to somebody and we need to take this very seriously. Because it was a very weird thing. I in the beginning, I didn't want to influence anybody, right?
No, no.
That was never the goal.
We were scared of opinions in the beginning.
Yes.
We wanted to say our experience, but without telling people how they should feel about it.
Right, right. Well, and that's still kind of to this day is like, the thing is, I'm a chick in a chair on a podcast. Don't listen to me.
We're not morticians.
Exactly.
We can't help you if you die from our advice.
I'm not a mortician. Don't take our advice. I'm not giving you advice.
We're giving you life lessons
that I had to learn the hard way, so maybe you don't have to.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. And like things that we're going through.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a different change too, was the like week by week.
That was huge.
What we were going through.
I think that's what got us past the 6-week slump.
Yeah.
Because like I started Concerta and I was like, I have energy again to do things and I'm going to do things. And like we started it. And then by week 6, I had kind of come to like a format that I liked.
Yes.
And the shooting was how I liked it enough that I was like, let's keep going. For me, like personally. I mean, I was like...
I remember how afraid of the 6-week slump you were.
Oh,
so you were like, we're not going to... people don't last that long. People will quit by then. Like, that's the cutoff for success or
not
failure.
Success, but like...
But you know what I mean?
Our
like
continued success, like,
perpetuation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Like, a lot of people will go about that long, and then there's that cutoff.
Yeah. But we did it. And then we hit a year. And then we hit 2 years. And then we hit 3 years, and that was... We're on IMDb now.
Yeah, we're on IMDb.
That's so weird, and I don't like thinking about it.
I love thinking about that.
I hate that. That makes me feel weird.
Yeah, I need to go in and start filling those out.
Please, God, no.
Like, I want to get writer credits. I want producer credits. I want editing credits.
I'll get my acting credit. My single.
You're acting.
I'm acting.
Yeah, Karina played Karina in this week's episode.
And Evan and Karen.
You play more roles than that, though, because you help with the edits when I need it, and you help with everything else. You help things happen.
Yeah. We work very well as a team.
Which is kind of weird.
Yes.
Because
that's
it's
what I was thinking, too.
So obvious, but it never really occurred to us to do something like, you know what I mean? Like a creative project that we both get to do together.
Right. Because, like, I don't know. We've always gotten along well.
Yeah.
But this was just a different level of what we have done before. And it works well.
It does.
It still works well. And we still have things to talk about. And I didn't think we would get this far and still have things to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that we're not retreading topics, but...
No, but, like,
new angles,
we take it as it's relevant, too.
Yeah.
And we find relevancy in... That's a big old fluff, sorry. In our listeners as well. And the podcast family and what they have to say and where they've been at. And it was cool to hear Crystal say that she was talking about
What's
context.
Even funnier is that we put it off a week,
yes.
right? Like we didn't record last week.
Yeah.
And now context makes sense for the week.
Yes.
Because
that was just cool.
She was talking about the same thing. Hi, Crystal.
But yes, that happens much more than I thought it ever would or could.
Yeah.
Which is just...
I
really
love it.
Cool.
I love when people say that, like, the week after, like, your episode was really relevant.
Yeah.
Or I took something away from that.
Yes.
Like, that's always huge.
Yeah. Oh, it makes such a, like, not that it makes, like, a huge difference in how we present information, but it means that we are on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of reinforcement of, like, okay, so let's keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not that, and sometimes we have to pivot, but we've learned a lot of flexibility through the podcast, I think.
I don't want to say what I was about to say.
Say what you're about to say.
Okay, I gotta knock on wood. We haven't had to make an apology video yet. So
it's time to drop some slurs. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let's not use them. Let's drop them and never pick them up.
I just poured them out into the gutter.
Bucket of slurs?
Ugh.
How, Chris?
Gross.
How long has this been
it's
back
a
here?
Slurry of slurs.
I grew up in the Southwest around ranchers, and they're very racist. Very. Dude, I didn't realize I was hypersensitive about that shit until I heard my nephew use the term beaner.
Oh my god.
I was
almost
Pedro, fine.
Yeah.
Aiden, fine. Like, people that should be offended were like, it's funny. I was like, dude, I would have gotten my ass beat if I ever thought about dropping that word. Are you kidding me?
They were not, they gave you a run for your money, though. Yeah. They were like, hey, white boy.
They tried. I've told this story, but I've carried a picture around with me of Dad.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, look, I'm not white. I'm at least a mixed. Cut me some slack.
Someone called me white passing the other day, and I've never been so offended.
I'm sorry.
That was rude.
Unneeded.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Rude. Okay. Anywho.
Let's do a year in recap.
Yeah.
I'd say half the year I spent recovering, and then the other half I spent thriving.
Yeah.
If I break it down.
Yeah.
Because I was recouping from the whole cis the whole cis problem. Sepsis.
Sepsis, yes.
Episode.
Yeah.
And then like it took me 6 months to like emotionally process and handle.
Yeah.
It's where it doesn't even freak me out anymore.
That's good.
Like when I think back on it, I can experience the moments and be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was so much information to sort and try to like turn over.
It's chaos.
And, like catching up on pieces that you weren't even like
right. I have to go from
and
all these memories that I have that I remember.
Yeah.
Where I had flat affect, wasn't phased because I was in the moment and I was not there.
Yeah.
Then I had to deal with, oh my God, I went through this, and then reprocess them under that's scary.
It's the like I almost died protocol.
And then now it's like I've processed all of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But God, dude, that really took it out of me. Even like just physically.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get back up and running.
Right.
Not in the podcast though. I mean, I went from the
oh
hospital
my
to the podcast.
It was like 2 days. He
was.
Came home and I was like, we're not doing anything tonight. And then the next day we were on.
We did the live.
And I was like, dude, bro.
And I was still messed
okay,
up.
Here we go. No, you were not with it at all. But you were happy to be on the podcast. Yes.
I needed, because I needed to not be in that headspace.
Right. Well, and you needed the normalcy and the like.
Yeah.
The reinforcement from people who understand illness and what it's like to be ill in the world and some of the consequences of being ill in the world.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, like I said, it thrived. I mean, I feel like we've grown a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's this year.
Yes.
Which I didn't think was really possible because I was like, we're in a good spot last year,
right?
Despite the whole hospital thing, but like, we had realized that we started the podcast angry.
Yes.
And we were like, wow, like we watched it back and we're like, we're so volatile.
We were
like,
so mad just at the world and everything in it. It was very much that like self-deprecation, really dark humor.
Yep.
Towing the line of like suicidality, maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean,
all of those things were the beginning of the podcast, and all of the emotions that we had to process through the podcast. And really, that's the most therapeutic thing I've done. I think in general. Yeah. Like I've gone through different therapists. I've been really diligent in different therapies, different kinds of therapies. And still to this day, I think the most therapeutic thing in the world for me is the podcast.
Yeah.
And I remember, exactly. And I remember one time my therapist asked, like, well, who are you in the podcast? Like, are you masking? Because I was bitching about masking in general. Yeah. And I was like, no, on the podcast, I am the most me that you're ever going to see. Yep. That's it. Like, that is the me. That is the me.
At least now.
Yeah.
I mean, even, okay, so I guess that's to say that maybe in the beginning we were masking, but that was because we were masking.
Yes.
You know, we hadn't.
Well,
that was us in the moment.
Taken apart the mask.
Right.
By then.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to the labels episode. That one. Yeah. Where like that was like a huge revelation. You're like, oh my God.
I learned a lot of things.
It was good.
I learned how to process the information completely differently in a way that allowed me to function in the world without feeling like I was shoved into a box of definitions.
Yeah. How to use them as tools and not labels.
Yes. And that a label wasn't meant to be all encompassing.
Right.
Because I didn't want them because I was like, I don't.
That's trauma though.
I'm not that one thing.
Because
Yeah.
Growing up, we were labeled as the one thing. Yes. And you were only allowed to be the one thing, even if
there was nothing outside of that one label.
Right.
And that was all it was.
Do you ever feel like there were like 6 labels and only 6 labels and they just got moved around?
Yes.
Oh, right. I've so like there's always the one that was in trouble. We've had that conversation. But like there were other positions that you could be in.
There was like the favorite.
Really. That's never the favorite, bro.
There was the favorite. There was the pseudo mom.
Yeah.
There was quiet trouble. Nothing happens. That was Alex. And then there was loud, and that was like, but yeah. And I was very loud. I was loud before Bug was loud.
Yeah.
I laid the groundwork for his loud, actually. And I resent that because our oldest sibling is supposed to do all the groundwork for the messing up and breaking rules and all of that nonsense, and she failed miserably. And
to be fair,
left
she
it
tried.
to the middle child.
She tried.
She left it to the middle child.
She tried
to traumatize the family.
No, like she rebelled. She did a lot, and it's not. She doesn't want to remember it, but there were efforts made in that field.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
that was a rude tangent.
Labels were definitely a threat.
Yeah.
Prior to that conversation. And it's crazy to think that one conversation can make all the difference.
Oh God!
But
even like I remember, like there are 2 big moments for me.
Yeah.
And it's busy with when we were talking about labels, and then there was Lulu talking about it's okay to not be okay.
Right. Well, Lou said something, and just the way that she put it was so powerful. It was this like, you're going through something exceptional.
Yes. Exactly.
And it's allowed to be hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like, oh, and there's my feelings. Crap. Now I have to process this.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things like that where it was like, I've learned a thing and now I have to incorporate that thing.
Yeah. We need to get more people on here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get revisit.
That would be awesome.
I could reach out to Harper too.
Yeah.
We could do a 4-hour meditation.
I have ADHD and that's going to be really hard for me. Okay. Yeah. I need some sedation.
He's a good guy though. I still follow him
absolutely. On TikTok. Yes. Yeah. But I don't know. The most emotional processing and trauma processing that I've been able to do is through the podcast.
Yeah.
And like the practicing of skills in the podcast and through the podcast and being held accountable by the podcast.
See, that's what's weird to me. We could have, I mean, I could have. I don't want to speak for you. But it would be easy to put on a facade.
Yes.
Or easy to fall into one.
Right.
Like I don't know why
in the podcast
I felt that I had to be so like blunt and open about everything. Like
it's because when we started it, that was like the very first thing we said was like, I don't want
it was
to be
like
anything but what I am.
Tenant.
I don't want to be anything but what I am.
Right.
Like I'm not here to snow people.
I got it. In an attempt to conserve or save what we already had. Because our talks turned into the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want to lose that.
Right,
and have it turn into something else.
Because those conversations, we have were conversations we were already having.
Yeah.
And still kind of are. We try to save them for the podcast, but
sometimes they happen before the podcast.
Yeah, sometimes we have to kind of
subscribe to Patreon. Get the extra bits in the beginning.
There you go. Wow. But yeah, no, it was very much, that was the guiding principle from the very beginning. And we stuck to it.
We didn't like force it.
Right.
We just stuck to it.
Yeah. And then we collected all of the right people and they're wonderful and I love them.
Yeah.
I love you guys. You guys make life tolerable in a way that it was not before.
Yeah, I know. Once we did the scary thing and made Discord, it kind of all changed.
I remember I was
terrified
of Discord.
I didn't think anyone would join it.
Yeah.
And then I was worried that it would be full of people who were just like spamming and
toxic everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Horrible. Like I was bracing myself for the negativity and like having to have a moderator go through and kick people all the time or like correct things.
Never once happened.
No.
Not ever.
No.
Sometimes our bots get in the way of weird things.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you can't do. And we're like, wait, no.
Let them
do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we've never had, like the community itself came together based on the genuine experience.
We've pulled in people who are in the same situation.
Yes.
And in the same mindset. They have like the same sense of humor and
yes, very much. Very much.
Same circumstances. Not the same thing, which is great. I love that we have people that have different conditions.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's really cool.
Because remember when we made the pivot, we're like, we're not just EDS anymore. We're going to talk about chronic illness.
We're going to talk about all of the things. Mwahaha. And then we did.
That was a good pivot.
And it was great. I liked it. And it works. It's that like many voices was that big trend for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that. That was so fascinating to have people come on, and even the feedback we got afterwards was just really cool to hear from people that they were like, oh, I was really intimidated. I was really scared. But then once we started,
once they're in it,
they were like, oh, it was just a conversation with friends.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, that is exactly what this is supposed to be. And what I hope it will continue to be.
Yeah. That was a good era. I mean, they've all been really good.
It makes me feel good that we can create a
safe space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same. Like every time I heard that I was like,
safe enough for people to drop their masks also, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 years, man. 3 years.
Never thought it would happen.
I wondered. I mean, I've never like given it an end date.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've never once wanted to end it or expected it to end. But if you would have asked me how long it would go on, I wouldn't say like 3 years.
Right.
I wouldn't have even said like a year. I would have been like, probably a couple months.
Yeah. And then we just kept going. Like the joke's always been that the podcast made itself.
It did.
And it really did. And it really guides itself.
When it needs change, change happens.
Yeah. It forces us to evolve with it. And it's just been really cool. And pulling other people in, like my husband is now a part, like a staple of the podcast. And it helps us create our shorts and go through like our footage, and
then Jen does
really, really wonderful.
Jen is the only one who does thumbnails now, which is thank God.
And she's amazing at it too.
She titles them and she does the thumbnails and descriptions, and I love it.
It's been great.
I'm here for it.
Yes,
because she's killing it. I don't have to do it.
Yeah,
I get to do the part.
That's all been in the last year too, right?
Yeah. I would have her help on nights that I couldn't do it, like if the week got out. But then she was just like, "I'll just do it." I was like, "Oh, thank you, because I don't want to." Because I wanted dynamic, like thumbnails. Like I wanted them to be not just what we were doing, and we were doing that because we were more focused on the Spotify aspect of things. Right.
Like
so we just wanted like
and like this is exactly what this is.
Right. Yeah. And originally they were just episode numbers.
Yes.
Because that's what some podcasts do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then they got complicated.
It was funny too, because do you remember the first episode where I was like, bring in the camera? And we just never stopped. You were like, oh, all right, I guess we're doing that. And I was like, yep, this is what we're doing. Podcast made itself.
Yeah.
And we are just beholden to the podcast, servants of the podcast.
Man, I've learned a lot through it.
I know. Great. It's been
in stuff amazing. That I've been interested in for a long time. Like all of the YouTube stuff and all the Spotify stuff.
Yeah.
I get to play around with it now. And I'm on IMDb. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not you though.
So weird.
You're the worst.
I am the worst, but that's okay.
No, you're not.
No, but it's been so good to just, because I was like, I hit my depression era this year. And like going through both bouts of the facial pain in the last year has been really interesting. And like the way I handle it now versus a year ago is very different, which is gratifying in a lot of ways and hopeful in a lot of ways. And without the podcast, there would still be so much crammed inside of my soul that I couldn't say to anybody else.
No. Well, and even if, okay, so this is not to say we weren't having good conversations, but I think the way we've done the podcast gave us more room to explore deeper into everything, and then realize we've had way so many like personal realizations. We're like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That's what that was.
Absolutely. No, it's been crazy.
But it's been good.
But yeah. And I'm going to keep going. 3 more years.
3 more years. I'm down. I am so down.
Good. Yeah. And we'll keep growing and see what happens. And
I keep having my
who knows?
Stagnant era.
It's because you're off of your Concerta.
Right. I feel like I'm not doing enough. But also when the podcast doesn't grow.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was also my dropping of the ball.
No. Ish.
Yes.
Because I can tell when you post.
Yeah.
I know what the normal traffic is.
Mm-hmm.
I was noticing that we weren't picking up natural people.
Oh, yeah. It's hard because we're just invisible. We're there and we're just under the radar.
Not marketing ourselves well. We don't know how to market ourselves or how to have
the energy to do that.
Right. Exactly. We need a team.
Yeah.
We need someone to come in and just be like, bam.
Here, do the thing.
Make us monetizable so that we can pay you. If you can make us make money, you can get a salary.
We will pay you also money and snacks.
Yeah. And hanging out with us.
Too. Yeah.
We're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say something and I lost it. Dang it.
But it's been funny too, my kids circling the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Has been so hilarious to me. And I think I would have viewed it as a threat before. Yeah. Just because it's that but we're not doing anything wrong and I know that and it's fine.
Same with our grandfather watching us. We both had the first reaction to that was panic.
So terrifying. Why is he doing that?
Do you hate us?
What's wrong with you?
Why are we in trouble?
Yeah, that's exactly how that goes.
Yeah.
Why are we in trouble? Oh, look at the trauma all over the floor.
I left it on the floor.
Oopsies.
I'm just a little guy. Leaving my trauma everywhere.
It's my first day.
It's our first day.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
For 3 whole years. It's been my first day. Oh, yes. And more pretzels. 3 more years.
More pretzels.
More pretzels. Pretzel time.
Okay, so now we can segue into our trauma
topic.
So I kind of want to do this as a couple episodes because what we've fallen into doing is we'll get onto a topic and then we'll explore different areas of that topic overall.
Yeah.
And we're talking about trauma and context.
Yes.
So I kind of want to do exploring different trauma reactions, I guess.
Did you want to do trauma first and then context next week, or do you want to do context this week?
Context this week.
Okay.
I think of it as
trauma
is the overarching theme.
Yes.
And then we'll do the explorations into it.
Well, and that's the thing is trauma literally changes your brain.
Yeah.
And changes how your brain processes information and processes possible threats.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, it's insane. Hypervigilance, you don't know you're hypervigilant until you really break down what that means.
Mm-hmm.
When you think hypervigilant, you might think someone who's always on the edge of their seat. But in reality, it's that I heard a noise, my brain immediately is identify that noise.
Yep.
Or I'm hearing 3 different conversations, I'm watching the door, I'm all of these low level things. Until
we started talking about the trauma responses and diving into it, I never realized that a lot of my behaviors were very hypervigilant.
Yeah.
I don't sit with the door behind me ever.
Oh yeah.
I always have to face the door or an exit. I need to be by an exit or staring at the door.
Yeah.
Because it makes me so uncomfortable. And even in the office, I have that. My peripherals is the door.
Yeah.
But because we have the blankets over it and people come in, they kind of sneak in. So people will just appear.
For me, it's the opposite. I appreciate having the blankets because I can see the movement out of the corner.
I don't see the movement though. If it's dark. If I had the computer against the other wall, facing this way, where the door was right there, I'd be perfectly fine. Yeah. But it's because it's here and they come in behind and I don't clock the movement. People will just appear, and I hate it.
It's so bad. Oh. There's the other piece that's just weird things where all of my children know that I don't startle.
Right.
Because because startling really wrecks my body.
Mm-hmm.
And B, because I don't have
energy.
I'm aware.
Right.
I'm aware. If you're behind me, I'm aware.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that hypervigilance. And that's that hypervigilant behavior.
Right.
So thinking about that and context overarching, trauma overarching.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about context because that has been kind of a circling theme for the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And one that I've been struggling with at work, and not even just at work, with dealing with my medical providers.
Yeah.
Other people just in general, like interactions.
Since we've been talking about it, I've been noticing more and more how much that affects my life if I don't or do have context to a thing. And I want to get into that. So.
Yeah. It makes me nervous, like more nervous if I don't have context.
Oh, absolutely.
For things. I need to know what is surrounding the thing.
Yeah.
From all sides, not just like, oh, this is what happened narrative. I need the back and the forth and I need like that full blown 3D
to relay it,
crazy cam.
The way I realized that I need this was because I was thinking about how anytime I started a new job, I could not excel at the job right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Where other people would just get hired and they'd be like, I'm doing the thing. I'm like, great. Why am I doing this?
Right.
And they'd go, I don't know. And I'm like, I need to know what like.
Yeah. What does this do?
My paralegal experience is like the big one where like,
oh yeah,
Aaron sat me down and was like, you're filling out these papers now. And I was like, cool. What do they do? Mm-hmm. And Aaron's like, I don't know. I was like, I need to know
do you mean you
why
don't
I'm filling this out. What?
Yeah.
Like, I need to understand this.
Yeah.
It took me like 3 weeks to get that understanding. And then like the same with like making calls.
Yeah.
It's like, and organizing. That was the other part of the job, was like sorting things into the files and whatnot.
Right.
And everyone was like, why aren't you just doing it? It's like, I don't know. No one's like, I need to understand my whole process. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. And everything that like before and after.
Exactly.
And once I did that, I was great. And that's been true about any job. Like I don't make the obvious association of like, you work at Subway, you need to cook bread.
Right.
It's like I could do that.
Right.
But
there's also 100,000 other things I could do.
Right. Like I could do anything right now.
Frustrating. And that I think is also part of that hypervigilance, is like the predicting of several different outcomes in different scenarios, and different like things affect other things. And how can this one blanket rule be a blanket rule when there's all of these variables underneath it, and things that don't necessarily impact people who are A, neurotypical, and B, don't have that level of trauma, and especially CPTSD with the childhood post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
Like, because it's complex, it's called complex PTSD, but it is marked by repeated traumas throughout your childhood.
Right. I got that.
And inconsistent caregivers and all of those different things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, it's such a, like, for us, it's obvious that like context matters, right?
Right.
Like for us, we're like, context literally is everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember this one conversation with my mother a really long time ago. I was young, and we were talking about, I was probably like 9, maybe.
Okay.
We were talking about something, and we were talking about why we go to war.
I know this story.
Why are we going, like, what is this? And she was trying to explain it to me, and then started asking me questions about like, well, what would you do if blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, it would depend on all of these different factors. And I was told that I had gray morals. So I didn't have like black and white morality. I had situational morals. That's what she told me.
I am not surprised.
Situational morals. And I was like, well, duh.
I'm going to take this little bit of information I've just gleaned from you and misuse it and then weaponize it.
Yes.
That's literally what that was, narcissism. It was like, to the max.
You are a problem because you don't understand that things are
You're not picking black or white.
Yes.
And now I'm going to abuse you with it.
Yeah. You have situational morals, and that's a bad thing. And I literally remember her saying, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, isn't it funny that she's moralizing your situational morals?
I know.
Wow.
But that's the thing, is like everything is situational when you think about it.
Yes.
Everything.
Well, that's how we address everything.
Yes.
Is even when we talk about like our energy consumption, everything's a step.
Yes.
It's all part of the getting to the whole.
Well, and that's why like it bothers me to the umpteenth degree when doctors especially are like, or my therapist is like, well, is your pain, is this pain worse than this pain? And I have to be like, well, they don't compare right on the same level
the
at all.
The burning acid feeling is not the same as the cold stabbing feeling.
Right. And they're in two different parts of the body, and that makes a difference. And
really,
this one's easier to tune out, and that makes it like...
It's because we overthink things.
Yeah.
What was it that we figured it? There's the like, oh, what is similar between 7 and 2?
Oh, yeah.
And we were both like, I'm like, it's the shape.
Yes, because we all went to the shape.
It's literally a 2 and a 7. The same, and in clocks, they use the same one with a curly Q. You'll notice it and never unsee it. It's always 2 and 7.
Yeah.
Instead of saying that they're numbers.
Right. Apparently, neurotypical people say, well, they're both numbers. And for us, we're like, well, duh. That wasn't the question, was it? Like,
right.
Really? That was the question? It was that simple? Like, no, for us, we're like, oh, okay, we're looking for, because the context is, these are both numbers.
What's same with number?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
That was one we found on TikTok recently. That was just so bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about, like, context is everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're looking at, like, empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, like, feeling empathy, like, you should feel empathy.
No, but
in, like, how you approach understanding other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because context matters.
Right, which is why we end up becoming, like, emotional dumps for people.
Yes.
Because we want to know why you feel that way.
Yes.
And we kind of need that. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I know you're having a rough time. I need to know why you're having a rough time. And I don't want to upset you. Yeah. But, like...
You don't need to tell me, but what's going on, dude?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Because for us, that it doesn't necessarily change the outcome, but it changes how we're going to approach the situation. Because you can't approach people who are different people, who have different trauma, who have different backgrounds the same way.
Right, because
you just can't.
1, you don't know what is traumatic to this person.
Yes.
And 2, you don't know how you can relate to it or what you can relate it to in your world.
Right.
So that you can understand it.
And then you might accidentally wind up triggering people, or you're basing your understanding on something that doesn't relate, and then you've made that person feel more alone.
Yeah, I've done that.
Which is great. I hate that. Oof. Whew. Oh, I thought that was your cat.
I thought it was a cat too. I was like, wow, Kel.
No, it's a child. But
a child.
Yeah. Because all of this was kind of birthed from what I do at work and how I relate to my students, and not even just relating to them, but taking all of that context and using it as information and as like an informational buffer for interpreting behavior.
Yeah, it helps you guide them.
Yes.
Right? Like, and then you can use it as a tool for them to use. Like, here's what...
It also helps me not to take things personally.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because the context matters.
I think naturally you wouldn't do that anyways. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. But it baffles me and bothers me that that's not like a universal way of thinking. Right. That people are different people and experience things in different ways and experience different things. And that you are not them and they are not you. And that things are different. And why is that not a universal understanding?
I keep flip-flopping between, like, I understand a thing and I've experienced a thing, but at the same time, I don't experience it the same way, right? So, like, being a white male, you have all the white male privilege, right? Mm-hmm. I never really had that growing up because I wasn't in an all-white community. I wasn't... Right. It wasn't until I moved here, and by then I'd mostly grown up. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, like... It's weird to me to think that people have that main character syndrome. Yeah. Where they don't think about other people, or they just don't even bother to understand people.
Right. Or the interpretation that it's like, it's me against the world itself. Yeah. Like, and everyone in the world is a possible enemy, or is going to get in the way of my happiness, or is someone I'm competing against. Yeah. That's a big one, is the, like, I hate that one. Competitive weirdness. And those are all those people who are like, well, homeless people deserve to be homeless.
They didn't try enough.
Yeah.
Which they have.
You're like, bro, what?
You don't understand.
Bro, what? And they're like, well, I'm not homeless, so it can't be that hard. And you're like, you just ignored all of the context. Literally,
I want to say something, but it's inappropriate. I can't say it on the podcast.
Whisper.
You know?
I do know.
I just don't understand.
Why would anyone choose to be homeless? Like, wow. What are you talking about? But you know those people, and they're everywhere. The people who are like, well, homeless people should just be put to death, and old people are a drain on society, and anyone who's not me is clearly an enemy of me.
Yes.
What?
I don't get along with those types.
No.
I could though, but the problem is that I could totally get along with them. But I would have to. It would have to be like an ego stroking. Like that's what they would get from me is affirmations and validation.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get along with those people, and I can't.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Me when I was younger, absolutely. I could totally.
Well, yeah. I would do it for like
chameleon.
You A, chameleon, and then B, information gathering.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those.
Yeah.
I was I will talk to everybody on every side of every situation.
Yeah.
To figure out what's going on at the root.
Because
I don't believe you. Right off the bat, I'm like, you told me a thing. That's great. I'm glad you told me the thing. I don't believe you.
I just realized that I had like a trauma response to a trauma.
Oh.
So I was friends with this girl in middle school. We had been working together, and she was like a tomboy and worked like she was a ranch hand.
Yeah.
And we got along great. Like I love Season. She was amazing.
Yeah.
One day I come to school and this girl tells me, "Oh, Season died." I was like, "Okay, right."
Yeah.
Like, why am I hearing this from you and not anybody else?
Right.
So I go throughout my day, and then like I talk to that girl again, and she's like, "No, for cereal." And I was like, "No one else is saying anything." And then at the end of the day, they started handing out flyers to her vigil.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I was like, "Oh, ouch!" One, because that was my friend, and two, I didn't believe it. Shit.
Yeah, I literally, when my friend passed away and I got the phone call, I was at work at the movie theater, and he tells me, and he's like, "Well, like my friend has died," and I was like, "No."
Right.
He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Austin, who though?"
Right.
And he tells me the last name, and I'm like, "No." That was just my response right off the bat. Was just no. You are incorrect.
Well, then I wore guilt about it.
I'm done.
For years.
No, thank you.
I felt so guilty for for 8 hours not believing that she had died.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
That was a weird thing. But it is what we do, because growing up in a situation where words didn't matter.
No. Well, so like you had your version of that, and my version of words didn't matter was I was passed around to every adult in my families.
Yeah.
And none of them told me ever what was going on.
Yeah.
Never, ever. I never got this is what's happening. Or like even telling me what I was going to do for the day.
Right.
Sometimes they would trick me into going to dad and be like, "Oh, we're going to do this." And then they would drop me off at dad's.
Oh my God.
Which built a lot of trust.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot. Sometimes we graduated from college, and instead of letting me stay with my grandparents, I had to go to dad's house, and you had to party all night. Happy graduation. I'm glad you have your major.
Oh, no.
I'm not salty. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
That's a real one. That one hurt.
Oh. I hadn't thought about it like that. Like.
Right? Like.
That's a good way to build trust.
The opposite of how I handle my kids.
Attachment issues and
like even going to like visit great grandma before she passed. I was like, you don't need to see that.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a happy visit. This isn't going to be a happy memory. And I know you're going to regret not saying it, but we can pass on the message.
Yeah.
And that's best for everybody.
Right.
Instead of what my mom did, which was just never happened. They never had a funeral.
That's what they did with my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, is there going to be a service? And they were like, do you want
I got the sit down. They're going to be gone. Like, this person's not in your life anymore. And then that was it.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until Grandma Nancy passed that I went to an actual funeral.
Yeah.
I got to go to hers, thank God.
It's crazy.
It's weird. And they, God, they had, at the church that she would,
attend.
She would run.
Frequent.
She was like a pastor or I can't think of words. She was one of the people running the show. Like she would give sermons and stuff.
Yeah.
at that church there was a bread oven. So like there were stairs going down, and there was a bread oven in the wall.
Yeah.
And they told me that they had cremated her.
And you thought, oh, and I thought they did it in that
bread oven, and I was for a long time I thought that that's where they did it, like at the church.
Oh, that's so upsetting. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is why like freedom of information is so important, because your kids get way more than you think they do.
Funny side story: my mom started laughing at Grandma Nancy's funeral.
Oh.
Because she heard Grandma Nancy's laughter because she would have thought it was hilarious.
Oh, okay.
That's just who she was.
Yeah.
So like, my mom started laughing because she heard laughter, and I was like, that's wholesome. I love that. Yeah. That's a good memory.
Good. Yeah, I didn't attend a funeral until I was an adult.
Teenage? Adult?
I was an adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait, no, because one of them was... No, I wasn't on the run anymore. I was just freshly like 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were an adult.
So I was an adult. I didn't attend a funeral until I was an adult, and then a lot of them happened all at once. It was great.
That was me in my early teens, or my early childhood was.
Yeah.
Funeral. Like everybody.
Yeah. Not a good time.
No.
But that's why like context matters.
Mm-hmm.
It matters. It matters to be able to like understand a situation. It matters, especially being someone who is like chronically ill, it matters for me to be able to understand my symptoms.
Yes.
And that seems to bother doctors. They seem to be like perturbed by my need to understand. They're just like, it's not gonna kill you. And I'm like, that's great. I still want to know stuff.
It's a discrimination thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because when I do it, oh, you're interested in your disease. You're taking an interest in it. Like, they love when I ask questions.
Oh my god!
I think it's some sort of discrimination. Like, I'm not sure if it's racial or if it's like gender based, but like when you've always get pushback. I'm always getting like, you're interested in this. Like, you know a lot about your body. You know what I mean?
See, I get like the total like.
You got
especially with like specialists.
Opposite. Yes,
they drive me crazy because they're just like, it's not gonna kill you, and I'm like, I don't care.
If it doesn't, I will, unless you fix it.
Yeah, I want to know stuff, even if you can't fix it. I would like to understand it.
Why
because
can't
that
you fix
helps
it?
me to process it emotionally.
Yes.
Okay. That helps me to not be like, oh my god, I'm dying every time a symptom shows up.
It could also just be a specialist Kaiser thing.
Yeah, I think it's just specialist.
Because my specialists, the ones that I stuck with, are legit about it. Like, they'll explain what they're going to do in surgeries and stuff, and I'm like, cool. Does that mean this is effect? No, it's cool. And you're interested. Yeah. But like, if I asked certain ones, they would shut me down easily. Yeah.
It's just so weird that they seem bothered by the fact that I'm like, but I want to know.
Yeah, the nephrologist was not about asking questions.
What is this symptom? And they're like, I don't know, and I don't care. And I'm like, okay, but I care and to know. I never
saw the nephrologist.
Which one's the nephrologist?
Kidneys.
Is that... Oh, okay.
Yeah. I never saw them. They didn't do my biopsy. Someone else did my biopsy.
I was going to say.
They just interpreted the results.
That was when you were like urinating blood, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And my back. We thought that my kidneys might have been the back pain.
Yeah.
And there was blood in my urine.
Yeah.
Which is normal.
Apparently.
For EDS people. We found that out just recently.
I wonder about that. I've wondered if I have, just because I don't know. I don't know how you can have like pale green, yellow, and also pink at the same time. But I can
differentiate.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
You have that extra cone.
I might be making it up.
You have an extra cone in your eye.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had that.
I'm excellent.
I can still differentiate reds better than most people.
Yeah.
But I'll never beat someone who has extra cones. Like, fuck your cones.
I am excellent at differentiating color. Like,
yeah, I know you are. I literally just said that. I said you're the peak.
Good at it.
I can get close to the peak, but I'm missing a cone. So I'm compensating using my other senses. I can smell that the pixels are different.
The reds. I like to play this game. Sorry, this is just... Hang with me for a second. I like to play this game where I take Mike and Ike's in the dark and I try to figure out what the hell color they are.
You should do that under like a red light. Like get LED lights and do it like just everything's red and then try and find like differentiate the greens.
Colors.
Yeah.
Be fun. Yeah. Sorry.
That's a fun game.
That is a thing that I do, yeah. But we do. We seek context because it helps us to build a picture of the world that is accurate.
Yes. Well, and we need that, like we were saying before the podcast. It's like we need that because there's trust. I think it literally is just mainly a trust issue because it comes down to you need multiple sources. You need to understand it fully to know the full story. Yes. And you need that because no one gave you the full story growing up.
Right.
Like,
right. Or the story was changing repeatedly, and that was like a dead giveaway for like something is off and wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and it also meant if something was changing, something bad might be happening.
Yes.
There was a lot of bad associated with sudden plans or changes in plans or like even the way you get approached sometimes, you know, there's that like go work with dad today.
Yeah.
And that were turned into a trap because I was doing drugs, but I wasn't doing drugs. I waited till my 30s. And even then I haven't done like hard drugs.
It's like I waited to do drugs. No, he didn't do bad drugs. He did okay drugs.
Yeah, legal drugs.
Yeah.
But I didn't until my 30s. So like
same. Mostly.
Fucking
20s.
why and I was a philanderer. I was out with all the women. Bro didn't even notice girls were interested in me. I was so dense.
He was not with it, but all the girls were like, please God, give
Except
me
for
your
the ones
attention.
that I was interested in. They were not about it.
They were playing it cool.
No, I asked out people a lot and they were like,
oh, really?
I got friend zoned. Which is fine. Because Jen happened and I prefer Jen.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny to me that our relationships are 3 years apart in every aspect. I love that. It cracks me up. You're looking at the time.
Oh, I was wondering if we were running long, but we're doing okay.
We might be just because we did that like recap at the beginning. Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's so much more to be said about it, but because there's questions galore about like how do you give context.
That's what we should get into next week.
You want to do that?
Yeah, let's like because we've explored why. We can do the how and when and where.
Yeah.
The like how to.
Well, I want to also address like the neurodivergent aspect of context because there's a serious difference in the way that brains approach things when it's like top down and bottom up.
Right.
Or like detail first, full picture, or full picture, detail second.
Right.
And that is crazy and people don't understand it. And my poor children suffer at school because of that.
Well, the system that your children in was meant for one size fits all brain thinking. Like, a neurotypical is like, these are how I learned. This is how kids will learn. And if they don't, then they're special needs because they're different.
Yeah. Well, and then we're running into this problem with, and this drives me crazy and rings really true for me. And I'm sure you've had situations like this in the past where, my kids are suffering in math right now because they're not asking for help because when they ask for help, they get shamed and then they feel stupid and so they don't ask for help and so they're all fucking failing.
Yep.
And I'm like, again, context. If we look at this big picture, there's a problem with communication. It's not
clearly
that all of these kids are like not paying attention.
If the school took a step back and noticed that all students were struggling with this same teacher, they would see that the problem isn't the students.
Yeah.
Probably has something to do with the teacher.
Right. Well, and it's that, like, it's how you approach things. And it's the eye rolls. And it's the talking smack about kids behind their backs. And
do teachers get this, like, ego where they don't feel that they need to adjust or learn or grow? Like, is that true of some people? Because I feel like
a lot. Yeah.
A lot of teachers are like that, where like if a coworker or even a superior said something, it wouldn't sink in. It would just be like, "Ooh, my ego's bruised. I'm not going to change the way I do things."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that happens everywhere, especially in like bigger schools. That's huge, where you have these like super jaded teachers who are refusing to approach things from what we know in new science.
Okay.
And I don't mean like new science, like capital N. I mean science that is just coming out and science that is in recent years that talks about the brain and how it functions and how trauma brain functions and how so many of us are traumatized and not a lot of us know it. It's just, it's a mess. And then you try to put it into education and you have all of these kids running around with their own set of context and not enough people seeking out that context to fill in that full picture.
Yeah.
And that for me is the problem, is the like ask questions. And one of my kids said something really interesting yesterday about how she understood my body better than the adults in the building. And she said something about how it was weird because they've known me longer.
Right.
And I'm like, see, but here's the thing.
They don't know.
Seek context.
Yeah.
They do not.
Because you're a tertiary. You're just a player in their mind.
Right.
Like I said, that's the conversation we had when we talked about it yesterday. Was that like you literally are a blip on their radar.
Yep.
And they don't want to know that your life is hard or that hard things can exist. No. And it's not easy.
They might have to change the way they approach things.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
No. So annoying.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is the kids will ask questions and seek context.
And I feel like the same problem is true of teachers. I feel like good teachers get moved away to places.
Yeah.
Like if you're a good doctor, you move up and then you're like head of this department. You're no longer working in the field.
Right. Exactly.
Like I've lost 3 doctors that way.
Yeah.
They were so good that they moved up.
So annoying.
And I feel like a good teacher would have the same problem where like if they were growing and learning and listening, they would move up and into other positions. Not up, but maybe to like higher paid positions. Right. That makes sense.
Or better schools, or
that's
better programs.
I was trying to say that without saying that.
Well, no, we're going to say that.
I don't know.
Especially with like
don't speak from
district
experience.
Schools.
I'm totally free balling and just ideas.
Ow.
Evan?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Ow. That hurt.
That was sudden too.
That really hurt.
Was there any ramp or was it just
Nope, it was just like explodies on the side of my face and head. I did not like that.
Explodies, God.
That hurt.
Bro.
Yeah, explodies.
I will say that today's been a good day though for face pain.
It has been a quiet one. Yeah, like it started earlier this morning, but it's just been kind of a quiet.
It's gonna be hell tonight. This has been climbing.
Oh.
And when we do the inverse,
it's
gonna suck. I feel like that's when you're gonna feel it.
It's those like rapid changes.
Yeah, I mean this went up quick, but again, it's that movement doesn't seem to bother you. It's the what, increase in pressure or decrease in pressure?
I don't know.
Decrease. If it goes down, it's decrease.
Yeah,
you feel it.
It's not great. I don't like it.
Not to like curse your night.
Yeah.
Like horrible pain that like incapacitates you. Well, guess what?
Today.
You're fucked.
For funsies. Yeah. But that's the other part of it, is like that context exists. And the context of like, oh, Karina's crying. That's a lot of pain. Not just like,
no.
Ugh, she's being dramatic again.
Well, okay. There's that, but there's also, oh, she's in pain. I don't need that in my life.
Right.
Like.
Or like, ugh, she's always in pain.
Oh yeah,
that's the other one. I like that one. That's
or the she can never go to things, so we don't invite her to things.
Yes, I have one coworker who is very sweet and like very intentionally invites me to things, which is lovely and I appreciate.
I always say I can't this time, but thanks for asking, and always invite. Like I always tag on, please always include. Yeah, because I never know when I'll be good enough to do things.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like I don't want to be like shadow banned forever. Be gone.
You're right.
Cast into the shadows.
Just because you have to like take time to yourself on breaks and stuff, like that's not fair.
Right, and that's the thing, is like I'm not just being aloof. I have to regulate.
Yeah.
Because I'm a mess. Just in general.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited actually. Good conversations to come, I think.
Very.
So yeah.
We found our new theme for the next 4 episodes. It seems like they've been coming in waves.
Trauma
and it's been
and
really
context.
Good. I like when we find a vein and we can follow it.
Yes, we're gonna need to write down the next one just so that we know where we're going. We need a map.
Yeah.
But yeah, time to say goodnight.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to die.
I'm folding myself.
I just realized I moved. I never move because I'm in pain.
Portions.
But I moved.
I've been really good about not moving this whole time.
Yeah,
but
you've been great.
I'm also folding myself into smaller and smaller pieces.
Ow.
All right, time to say goodbye. We're dying. We love you. Drink water because you need to. Take your meds. Do that. Just stop. Just take your meds.
You know, if you get to the point where you think the meds aren't doing anything, they're doing something. So keep taking them. Little bit of advice.
Okay, but also, real quick, It does not mean just keep taking them.
Continue taking your doses as prescribed.
As prescribed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It means that they're doing something and it's good. Not that you're immune to them and you've grown and magically don't have your problem anymore. Even though your brain will tell you that. Like, oh yeah, I cured my bipolar.
My husband was talking about lies we tell ourselves before.
That's a good one. That's one that my brain likes to whisper in my ears.
I've never...
You're not bipolar anymore. It's been 3 days. You haven't had an episode. You're fine. Don't take your meds. Like, shut up. I know I'm
You
not.
feel good today. You have never had EDS in your entire life.
What's
I
EDS?
hate that.
What else? Take water. Take your meds. Eat a snack.
Yes. Because you are a snack and you deserve it.
Yep.
Have a snack.
Maybe go outside. Enjoy the weather if it's nice.
Some sunlight. Maybe splash in the rain. I don't know. I'm not your mom.
Or do one of those things. Get on like next to a windowsill with a blanket.
Yeah.
And then just
stare wistfully. Or if you can find someone to drive you around, you can pretend you're on a long train ride.
Or find a sad book. In the middle
of friggin' Secret Garden or something.
Find a sad book. Don't read the book. Just hold it down next to you and look sad the whole time.
Yeah.
Until someone walks up to you and says, "What's going on?" And you go, "Nothing." Yeah. I do that for fun. Chris, is that just an excuse to cry? Maybe. Maybe it is.
The book is just like, "Are you my mother?"
Yep.
Or like,
One spot run.
Make way for ducklings.
Yeah. It's a Seuss book, I'm for sure.
Great.
Cat in the Hat.
Amazing. No, it has to be like sort of sad.
The Cat in the Hat is sad.
Oh, is it?
It's very sad.
They are mean to the cat.
They are.
They're pretty nasty.
Jeez.
About the cat. And the fish is kind of a douche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
What else? I feel like there's something we're forgetting. Not the bipolar.
Eat food, drink water.
Okay, guys, bipolar check. Are you manic? Are you not? Enjoy it if you're not. If you are, hopefully it's a manic kind. If it's low, it'll end.
It will end. It's not forever. It'll be
Take the moment to observe it and let it be, and then move on.
Observe it. That's a good way to put that. I like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Observe. Take a zoom out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need help, reach out to us.
Always.
Yeah.
And forever. And remember that we're here and we're people who are just sitting in chairs talking, and we are happy to talk to you, at you, with you. I don't know. We're not morticians.
We're not. Not yet. Mortician episode coming up.
Mortician.
Where we go and we visit a morgue.
And
then at the morgue, we become morticians.
We kill the mortician?
You're not supposed to say that on the stream. You need to shut up.
Tagline? Redaction?
Yeah, I'll bleep it. I won't. I'm going to leave it.
Okay. It's time to say goodbye because I don't feel good. So do something nice for yourself. Get cozy.
Happy anniversary.
Have a wonderful time.
Thank you for the community for being here, because we wouldn't be here without the community. And you guys are great.
Absolutely. And if you are someone who has kind of dropped off, just know that we still think about you and we love you and care about you, and we hope you are doing well.
I don't want you to feel awkward, like it's been so long, I can't keep up. No, just if you're alive, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we care about all of you.
Yes, absolutely. Take care. We love you. Be good to yourself. Be kind to you. Kind to others. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.